I have a question for everybody. It's very simple, and I'm hoping everybody can answer it because it should be a real easy question to answer. The simple question: do you feel culturally enriched? No, I can't think why none of us. You see, I've asked myself this question: do I feel culturally enriched? And I can honestly say, hand on heart, nope. I really don't feel culturally enriched at all. Now, I'm going to give you just some brief outlines as to why I don't feel that the first 20,000 Syrian refugees arrive in the UK is something we should all be jumping up and down with absolute glee because we have 20,000 Syrian refugees. No, we don't. No, we don't. Half of them didn't have passports. You have no idea who you've just let in. Not a clue. Feeling culturally enriched, yeah? So we don't know who they are and you haven't got passports for them and nobody can question whether or not they have in fact denounced Islam just to arrive in the country to go back to being a revert. Very clever how they've all been using the word revert in the words of David, whatever his name is, revert. It's very good that they can revert back to Islam once they arrive on these shores. And all will be forgiven. So long as, of course, you're prepared to do what we ask you to do, which is to arrive here without any documentation, paperwork or anything else, and, of course, wage your jihad on the filthy kuffar. Only to then see another case that I opened up today, where a lead Imam, Islam not to blame for deplorable acts of sex grooming gangs. Well, this man's name is Qari Asim, Imam of Hyde Park Mosque. Said British Muslim of Pakistani heritage must question why there are so many perpetrators of this evil crime in their midst. I agree. Absolutely. You do need to question it. And whether or not you wish to blame your faith or not, what you have to accept that whether you like it or not, those that are using the faith to justify their acts, therefore, can take the quote from the Quran that says, believe it's Quran 4:24, that which your right hand possesses. Because so many believe they are at war with the West, therefore the right to sex slaves. Well, I'd say that that's very culturally enriching. And I would say very much that you could turn around and say, do you blame your religion or do you blame the Muslims who are silent with regards to the amount of rape going on of predominantly white girls, something that nobody ever wants to state. And then you see rise in cases of child sexual exploitation leads. Really? Really? Are we all shocked that there is a rise in child sexual exploitation when you can give a man 8 years for raping a vulnerable child? Vulnerable child. He raped her brutally, like an animal. That's the judge's words, like an animal. 8 years. Out in 4 years, 3.5 with good behaviour. Feeling culturally enriched yet? And the best of it was, his barrister said, he was a very courageous man for admitting his guilt. See? Is he courageous? Or was he just caught and guilty? I see no courage in admitting when you are a rapist, if you are a rapist. I think she was very courageous. Would you like to give her the credit that's due for her courage? Oh no, we'll tell the guy who raped the child who's vulnerable how courageous he was to admit to his crime. Feeling culturally enriched yet? Then you've got, changing it slightly here, former Cameron advisor charged with child sex offences. Really? Unbelievable. Former economic advisor to Prime Minister David Cameron, American businessman Doug Richard has been charged with a string of child sex offences after allegedly raping a 13-year-old child. Then you open up this little gem. Anybody who hasn't got this, go find this. This is called Rotherham Politics. So type in Rotherham Politics and have a good look at this. This was sent to me by a good friend of mine, which I have to say I don't thank him for, because he does it because he knows it enrages me. Now, Jahangir Akhtar, the kingpin who had influence over the police. The man described in the Casey report as an intimidating and powerful figure in Rotherham politics, thought to have influence that extended to the police, is a former taxi driver with a criminal conviction for his role in a violent restaurant brawl. Jahangir Akhtar, 54, arrived in Britain as a 9-year-old and joined the Labour Party. Well, there's a shock! Labour Party! In 1990, won election as a councillor 15 years ago and rose to become the authority's deputy leader and vice chairman of South Yorkshire Police and Crime Panel. He resigned in 2013 after the Times revealed his role in an unofficial discussions that led to an extraordinary deal over a missing child. Sounding suspect yet? So everybody who didn't hear that title, right? This is called Rotherham Politics. The name you're looking for is Jahangir Akhtar, kingpin who had influence over the police. Are we feeling culturally enriched yet? Now come on now. All join in together. Cultural enrichment. It's a great thing. Then you've got, Rotherham Council works with police to stop protest over child sex abuse. So you're going to stop protests. Now, I'm not one for street protests, but it was street protests that actually highlighted a lot of the issues that people are now looking at and talking about today. But you now want to tackle that. You want to stop that. Really? You're going to put a lot of effort into stopping that, aren't you? It's a shame there's not so much going in to stopping the rape of vulnerable children. Then you've got Manchester councillor David Royal arrested on suspicion of child abuse. Labour again. Now, is it me? Am I the only person who thinks this? Labour. Muslim rape gangs, paedophile gangs, Labour, Rotherham, Labour, 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 Labour. You can go all the way along this, and somewhere, entrenched in all this filth, seems to be a Labour politician somewhere. Good luck on sorting that one out, Mr. Corbyn. I think that the Labour politicians are seeing their dying breaths. I think they are done, finished, finito, over. And it couldn't have happened to a nicer bunch of people than Labour politicians. Then I saw something that really riled me up. A head teacher has been fired because a girl who was a victim of paedophile gangs, she called her a troublemaker. She was the troublemaker. Really? You don't think the men that was raping her may have been the troublemakers then? No? Fired. She was fired. You think that's good enough? No. I don't think that's good enough by a long shot. You should be forced to pay that girl compensation, to her family and herself. How dare you turn around and say that she is a troublemaker? You were the trouble. I wonder how many other girls came to you that you referred to as being a troublemaker. Now, somebody else has asked me, a friend of mine, actually, it's like my big brother, has come up with a new word for rape, because we don't feel rape hits the note anymore. So he's come up with the capital letters, full stop in between each letter, So it's an acronym. BEAST, which will stand for Barbaric Extremism Aggravated Sexual Torture. I think that's got far more of a kick, far more of a punch, and will do a lot more. So I would say everybody on Twitter that watches me, start hashtagging BEAST in capital letters. Hashtag it BEAST standing for Barbaric Extremism Aggravated Sexual Torture. I'll start it, you will finish it, we'll join it together. Let's get that one trending, and let's see if we can change the tide and stop calling it rape and start calling it acts of beasts. Far more fitting, don't you think? On to the last little snippet, which is related, but it isn't related, and I'm not going to take up too much more time, because everybody keeps telling me 20 minutes is just far too long, and won't be tired if we go over that, because people stop watching. You all have the ability to sit and listen for no longer than 6 minutes, apparently. So basically, not much longer than a fish, but there you go. Now, a young man who's on my Facebook, was born Muslim, has asked me tonight to come up with an English name for him, because he doesn't want his Muslim name anymore. We came up with the name, well, I came up with the name, and he sort of fell in love with it. Benedict Bryant, which means blessed. Benedict means blessed, and Bryant means strong. Sorry, I have a runny nose. And he has absolutely taken to it like a duck to water, quite literally. And you have to ask yourself, and I've asked him, I said, will you write a blog for me explaining why you don't want to follow Islam anymore? Now, I hear this all the time. Islam is the fastest growing religion in the world. Yeah, I guarantee there's a lot more people walking away and who are apostates, but will never say they are apostates, because they will be killed. Ask yourselves, how many really wish they could walk away and can't? I guarantee your numbers are much higher than you can imagine. And as for the rise of rapists and the rise of paedophilia and the rise of Muslim rape gangs, is it any wonder when our own judicial system gives out such lenient sentences and our prisons are so populated? I think we're down to a bare minimum of 600 places. Ask yourselves again, are you feeling culturally enriched yet? For now, take care.